What's up YouTube, Dar here from Slifer Wargames, and you guys have been asking for this since I put the profile out, and today I'm going to bring you a test stand video for the Dark Magician Slifer Yugi inspired profile that I did for you guys the other day. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to do our standard test stands of 2 going first, 2 going second, and show you exactly what this deck can do. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way and a very decent shuffle and a very decent cut, our opening hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that hand's actually crazy. So even though we've got Slifer the Sky Dragon in the hand, we can put it back to the deck, and then technically we could call it correct off Illusion of Chaos and then summon it, which is pretty funny. Off the back of that as well, we've also got Magician's Rod, which will give us to the route that we need. So I believe this hand will actually ultimately get us Dragoon, and it can also get us the Slifer Draw 6 play as well. So obviously it doesn't have protection from Ash. You could try and bait stuff with Illusion of Chaos. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to normal summon Rod. I'm going to trigger the effect of Rod. And on this one, do I add... If I want to get into Dragoon, you add Soul Servant. If you want to get into something else, you add... you can add Circle, which will give you a random add off the back of the true name, which could be a Soul Servant, or it could be a little bit less. It depends on how much you want to risk it. This is the safest route that will guarantee my outcome. Circle will actually give me a bit of flexibility and believe it in the heart of the cards. So what we do here is we're going to use Illusion of Chaos first. Illusion of Chaos will then reveal Soul Servant itself, and then add Magician Souls. Now I could have done this the other way around, and this could have added me the Timaeus Dragon. But what I'm going to be able to do here is I'm going to be able to put Slifer the Sky Dragon back to the top of the deck, thanks to Illusion of Chaos. I'm then going to activate Magician Souls effect. This will then allow me to send Dark Magician from the deck to the graveyard, and I'm going to use it to summon it back. We'll then be able to use the effect of Soul Servant to put a card that lists Dark Magician in its text to the top of the deck. So we're going to put Timaeus the United Dragon to the top. So we'll shuffle this up. Now I don't want to draw it because I actually know exactly what it is. This is where I'm going to be able to go activate the true name, call the Timaeus Dragon. This is then going to allow me to add this to my hand, and it will then trigger the true name to let me special summon Slifer the Sky Dragon from the deck to the field. Now at this point I've got Dark Magician on the field. I've also got the ability of Soul Servant to draw me a random card. At this point there's no real benefit either or of how we're going to do this. So if I activate the Soul Servant effect, this is just going to give me a +1 randomly, which will be a true name. So it's not bad because then I can use this to add a card during the next turn, because I'll be able to stack it with Illusion of Chaos. Now, ideally what you'd want to be able to do is you want to be able to link these two together, but what we're going to be able to do here is we're going to activate the Timaeus Dragon, we're going to tribute off the Magician's Rod to summon itself down, we're going to use this effect, we're going to fuse these two together, and this is going to give us a beautiful, powerful Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. We're then going to set the Revived Sky God, we're going to hold these two cards in our hand, we're going to pass to our opponent. What happens is, in the end phase, Slifer will destroy itself because it's been special summoned. Ultimately, if you wanted to get an additional draw, you would set the true name. Entirely up to you. So what you're going to do here is your opponent draws a turn. We're going to activate the Revived Sky God. We're going to summon back Slifer, and we're going to draw until we have 6 cards in our hand, which means we get to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 back to our hand. So we now have a total of 6 cards in our hand. We'll then also have the ability, should we want to, if this hits the graveyard, that we can then stack a Monster Reborn to the top of the deck and then draw a card. So really, really important. From this point on, we've got a complete full hand. We've also got the ability to negate with Dragoon. And then should our opponent break this board, so let's just say they get rid of Dragoon, they get rid of Slifer, they haven't been able to kill us. What you can do, because Slifer's in the graveyard, is you activate the Revived Sky God, you put Monster Reborn to the top of the deck, and you draw a card. So you're ultimately going to draw Monster Reborn. You then shuffle this up. You'll then draw for turn. We still have the true name on the field as well. Your hand is completely stacked. So you've got the ability to not only break a board with double Super Poly, which is madness, you've also got the ability to get you a Dark Magician, a Magician Souls, a Magician's Rod, all from Illusion of Chaos. You've also got Monster Reborn, that if you wanted to keep some of these in the hand, can bring back a Slifer the Sky Dragon, which at this point would be a fat stack of 7,000 attack. Not to mention the Magical Ice Fusion can help us banish 2 from the graveyard. So if we wanted to go for a second Dragoon, we've got a Dark Magician, we've got a Dragon, we've got a second Dragoon on the board, and Dragoon's going to go, cool, pop, burn, attack, and it will have all this protection and all this building. So obviously, that was a cracked hand, because we had pretty much everything we needed. On the average, you're probably not going to be able to get both of these plays like resolved and synced out, but that is kind of like the ceiling, which is quite nice to start this video with, of how high this deck can go. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, our second opening hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For one off, this card loves my hand. We've got 5 ways of getting to this, so I'm not really too surprised on that. And then we've got Soul Servant, Circle, and Illusion of Chaos. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So we've definitely got to get Slifer to the grave in some form or another. Without the true name, we're not going to be able to successfully do that. So the best thing we probably want is Magician's Souls, because Souls will give us the random draws in order to do so, and try and help us set up. So let's reveal our Illusion of Chaos. Let's put Rod. We've pretty much got everything we need from it. There's not really a spell or trap that we could add that would gain us much advantage, so you're best off going for Magician's Souls. Now you can risk this and put Slifer back to the top of the deck, meaning that you have to draw the true name in order to resolve the Revive Sky God. Alternatively, what you can do is it will give you the ability to pretty much stack your deck in multiple ways. So what I mean by that is, if we put Slifer back, we've got more chance of getting it to the grave. The only other way we get Slifer to the graveyard is if we successfully make Dragoon. And in order to successfully make Dragoon with this hand, we will need to draw a Magician's Rod, which we can do, because what you would do is you would stack it with the top of the deck with Servant after activating Magician's Souls, and then draw the one into Rod. So that would be the safest route. The risky route is exactly what I'd be about to do here, which is you activate Magician's Souls, you send Dark Magician from your deck to the graveyard, you sacrifice your Dragoon play to try and successfully resolve the Slifer play. So I suppose the other route would be the better way of doing it. But the idea behind this is you'd actually summon your souls, you'd activate Soul Servant, you would put Magician's Rod to the top of the deck, and then you'd be able to banish the Soul Servant to draw the Rod, normal the Rod, effective the Rod, search you out Eternal Soul at this point, shuffle this up, activate Circle, and then this is where you need to reveal the true name or a card to help you get there, which you don't. So you get to add this, and then you could use Magician's Souls to draw both of these cards if you wanted to, but then ultimately from this point you haven't really got anywhere to go. So this is just a show of gamble and how it won't pay off. So okay, with that, let's reset this just so that I can show you the other route. So we activate Illusion of Chaos, we add Magician's Souls, Eternal Souls back into the deck. We have Magician's Souls, but this time, rather than putting Slifer, wherever it is, there we go. Rather than putting Slifer back to the top of the deck, we can actually put back Illusion of Chaos, because it's the one that we'll need the least. And then what you do here is you go Magician's Souls. Magician's Souls will send Dark Magician. And we'd summon the Dark Magician. There we go. You're going to activate the Soul Servant. The Soul Servant will stack you your Timaeus Dragon. There he is. Stack you the Timaeus Dragon to the top of the deck. You would activate Soul Servant, banishing it to give you the Timaeus Dragon. And then you'd activate Circle. Circle will reveal you 3 random cards. None of them that we can add. which is a bit of a shame, but it doesn't matter. You then use Tamiya's Dragon to send the circle, summon itself down, effect, fuse these two together, go into Dragoon, set the trap, hold the Slifer. So the issue with this route of play is that you need your opponent to activate something. If they activate Dark Ruler no more, you're completely boned because you're not able to get this discarded. So you need to hope that they have a card that they need to activate. And then what you do is you discard it as early as possible, and then you can activate to draw your fresh 6 cards. The other issue is by that point your opponent would have activated a card or effect, meaning that they would get a draw 1 off of the back of the Revised Sky God as well. So that's a bit of a different route. But you can kind of see the thought process behind that and why you needed to kind of go a little bit out of the ordinary for that. Okay, so now we're going to go second. Now the difference with going second with this build is it is designed to go first because the chances are your opponent would have emptied their hand. It's rare that they're going to have an empty hand. So you don't really want to be using Slifer at all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I say you don't want to use it at all. You just don't want to... you can have it summoned and you just get a boss monster on the board, but the trap card isn't that great for you. Anyway, with this hand, again, this hand is actually really cracked. So we've got the ability to get into Dragoon. We've got the ability to break a board. And we've got the ability to get Slifer to the board. The issue is, by the time we get Slifer to the board, our hand's going to be pretty empty. So, let's see the best way of doing this. We've got a route to stack our deck. We've got 2 ways to stack the deck, really. So, let's go Illusion of Chaos. I'm not too sure what we would actually want to have in our hand at this point. I mean, it's not really anything that we wouldn't get already. So what I mean by that is, so we can add the Soul Servant, which we can get off of Magician's Rod. Put Illusion of Chaos back to the top, which is fine. Normal Summon Rod. Rod's effect to grab a circle. Obviously, if you're worried about whatever your opponent's board is, you've also got Super Poly as well. So keep that in mind. You can Super Poly and clear a board up. So now the reason we went with Circle is Circle actually gives us the ability to control what we get off the back of the True Name. Plus it gives us a spell that we can get rid of with the Tamias, meaning we've got a free monster that stays on the board. Let's do Souls first. I could go for the random draws of the Souls, but I'm not going to. We're going to send and summon Dark Magician. I mean, I could have added the Dark Magician as well, to be fair, rather than Soul Servant, as I could have added the Dark Magician. But either way. Shuffle this up, activate circle, top 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're not adding any, but I'm going to take Nadir Servant. Because then what we do is you activate the True Name, you call Nadir Servant. Ooh, would you look at that? Get to add Nadir Servant, and because I called it correctly, I also get to special summon a god from the deck. So we bring out Slifer. Slifer is currently 4,000 attack, but that will quite possibly all change. We shuffle this all up. We can then, if we want to, activate Soul Servant to guarantee what we'll get to the top of our deck. But to be fair, we probably don't want to. We'll use Tamiya's Dragon effect to get rid of Circle to summon itself down, meaning that Slifer is now currently 3k. Now, we've got 2 options here. We can activate the Tamiya's Dragon. Tamiya's Dragon will let us fuse these 2 into Dragoon. Again, we're just burning through our hand. Ultimately, what you could do is you could activate Soul Servant. Soul Servant will put Dark Magician to the top of the deck. You then banish the Soul Servant to draw the Dark Magician. Activate the Tamiya's Dragon to fuse these 2 together. These 2 together will go into your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. You can activate Dragoon's effect once because you've got Dark Magician to pop and burn. And then, if you really, really want to, you can go to battle phase, clear everything off. 2,000 here, 25 there, 16 there, 3,000 there, if you haven't negated anything. And then if you still feel that you can do it in the battle phase, you can activate Super Poly during the battle phase, discarding the Nadir Servant. And I would only do this if you can get to game, and you would turn these 2 into your Dark Magicians. Now, obviously, your other route of play that you could have done this is you didn't lock yourself into fusions, so you had the Link play. You could have gone Dark, Selene, Access Code. You had a bit of variation. Now, obviously, as you saw through the way the hand played out, there were ways in which your opponent could stop you. So you were kind of like, well, Dark Ruler No More would have given me full protection. I would have been able to go off. But then you wouldn't have been able to lead to OTK, which would mean with Nadir's Servant, you'd probably be a bit more reserved. But off the back of that as well, your Nadir Servant would have set you up a Shadow monster. It possibly could have set you up with a punishment. You had Super Poly to break a board as well. So you had a lot to do. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, our final test stand of 6 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, very, very go first hand, but we work with it anyway. So you activate 2 preparations. You might as well. There's no reason not to deck fin with this. It also sets you up spells for Selene. So add 2 Illusions of Chaos. Oh, take the camera up. Activate 1 of the Illusion of Chaos. We will search. Do we want souls or rods? I mean, with this amount of traps, I'm probably going to go with souls because I think I've got a better chance of trying to draw some of the outs than anything. So I would put Illusion of Chaos back to the top of the deck. I would use Soul's Effect and I would actually summon it. And I will be sending Dark Magician. There we go. Put Dark Magician to the grave. I will then activate Circle. Circle will let me see the top 3 cards. Rod, Imperm and Super Poly. So I'm going to stack it so that it's Rod and Super Poly. I will then use Soul's Effect. And with Soul's Effect I would send... Send Schism and Circle to draw 2, which will be Rod and Super Poly. I will then normal summon Rod, use that effect to stack the deck with add Soul Servant, sorry, not stack the deck. Activate Soul Servant to stack the deck, and we're going to stack the deck with Timaeus United Dragon. We're going to banish the Soul Servant to draw the Timaeus United Dragon. There we go. Again, we haven't locked ourselves into anything particular. So we've now got the ability, if we wanted to, these 2 would go into Dark. If our opponent's got a card we can revive back from the graveyard. If they don't, then probably what I should have done is kept Circle and actually sent one of these instead. Because then that would have allowed me to... if I'd kept the Circle and got rid of, for example, so I got rid of the Revive Sky God. What this would have allowed me to done is brought back down the Timaeus Dragon. And then I could have fused all of those together. I could have gone Selene. Selene's effect, bring back Souls. Those 2 into Access. Access gain 3k. What I probably should have done as well is I probably should have turned Souls into Anima, which means I would have got 2 pops off of Access Code. And then you're pretty much then relying on Super Poly to protect the board, plus Punishment to protect the board. So you'd have to go Punishment first, Poly first, then Punishment. So not perfect. Didn't give us Dragoon Route, didn't give us Slifer Route, but we had the ability to pop 2, kill 1 at least, fuse 2 if we wanted to, which the chances are you're probably going to go into a Dracus Depelia or a Garura, and then you pretty much Punishment Natis pop 2. So you're controlling the board from there, meaning that your Access Code the next turn is going to be able to give you a decent amount of damage and kind of work it back from there. Plus you've got Illusion of Chaos, which will always become a Rod or a Souls or a Servant. So I mean, if you go Rod, you normal summon that, you add a Soul Servant, you activate it, you stack Magician Souls to the top of the deck. Because you've already got a Dark Magician in the graveyard from the previous turn, you could then banish the Servant to draw the Souls, special the Souls or the Dark Magician, and then continue your plays from that point on. Anyway, I hope this has given you a bit of an insight into the deck and how it kind of plays. I know you guys had a couple of questions about it. If you do have any more questions, please put them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But as you can see, this deck is kind of built, like I said, it's built in honor of the Yugi kind of style and the Yugi-esque play. It's not the strongest version of Dark Magician, but it is one that utilises the brand new Slifer track card. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Until next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.